I don't think I have played any game that hooked me as much as SCP Secret Laboratory in 2020, other than Minecraft and Fortnite. It's truly a one-of-a-kind game. Let's explore what I mean by that and take you to an adventure about SCP Secret Laboratory. What is SCP Secret Laboratory? Now, some of you might wonder what SCP-SL even is, and I have a simple answer for that. Just kidding, I don't. I don't think you can have a simple answer for what this game is, but I can say that it's really unique. There isn't even a single game out there that comes close to how unique SCP-SL is. Let's start with a little short history of SCP-SL. SCP-SL is largely inspired by two games. One, SCP Containment Breach, which is one of the best SCP games of all time, and two, a Garry's Mod game mode called Breach. The Gmod game mode was SCP based and it's actually really similar to SCP-SL. Now there was this guy called Hubert Moska? I'll call him Moska. Yeah, I'm sorry I butchered your name, Hubert. And he decided that the Gmod game mode has to be its own thing, so he remade it in Unity with Containment Breach assets. He always shared his devlogs, and overall people were already getting hyped about his progress in the game's future release. And in 2017, it did release, and people loved it. There were ups and downs, but after all, it's just a game made for fun, and it is really fun too. Let's quickly cover some large, important updates as well. In December of 2018, the Mega Patch 1 update was released. Typically in these Mega Patches, there are, as the name suggests, a lot of patches being made, as well as new things being added. Then, in November of 2019, Mega Patch 2 was released. And that's where things started to ramp up. The player counts were rising due to the game just being way more polished than it used to be. But people were complaining about SCP-096 being too OP, so they took him out to rework him to add him back later in the Scopophobia update. And on July 24th, 2020, Scopophobia released with a brand new reworked SCP-096. The problem was that SCP-096 was still so OP, he could wipe out MTF spawns in seconds. He was just way too strong. This is by many and factually considered the peak of SCP-SL to date. Back then it was just something different. Grenades were OP, you had a deagle that like one-shotted everything. It was such a blast and so unbalanced. I'd argue though that there was another hype wave coming close or perhaps even surpassing the Scopophobia update, which is the Parabellum update. The Parabellum update is the weapons rework. All guns would get new animations and new stats. There would be reworks for every gun, along with new guns replacing old ones. Rest in peace Project 90, you were the best MTF starter gun I have ever seen. And much more as well, not only just the gun rework. Northwood, which is by the way the company that Hubert founded, teased everybody with their new animations and weapon models, which all looked really good. And a beta was released soon after for Northwood's Patreon, and the hype was very unreal. I myself was really hyped for this update. I looked at their Patreon every single day without even being subscribed to it. I was just very envious of everybody who could play it. There was a point where Northwood themselves made tens of thousands of dollars a month just by Patreon. That is simply insane. When the update eventually got released, it was really good, and along with the shiny new guns, there was a new SCP-173, but after that, things started to slow down. A few months later, there was also an SCP-939 rework, and that was pretty much the last major update to the game. The game doesn't have a huge hype like back in the day, but it still has a solid player base. In fact, the all-time player peak was just 3 months ago with almost 14,000 players online at the same time, and that's just simply incredible. Now, we got a rough outline of the history of SCP-SL. Let's get into what this game even is. It's an asymmetrical multiplayer game where some people play SCPs, which are giant monsters that can kill everything, and others, the humans, which are split into multiple factions: scientists, Class D personnel, facility guards, mobile task force squads, and the Chaos Insurgency. They all have different roles and relations to each other. Roughly said, the Class D personnel have to find their way out of the facility and escape through the surface, while avoiding SCPs and facility guards. The scientists are pretty much the same, but they spawn with a keycard and are friendly with facility guards. Facility guards have to find and escort scientists to escape or die trying. They can also decide if they want to spare and detain Class D or kill them. And trust me, facility guards are just destined to die. The Mobile Task Force Squads, or MTF for short, spawn in typically after a few minutes of the round start. That's to ensure that the game stays fair and the SCPs have a challenge. They are similar to facility guards but with better gear. They have roles inside of the squad, for example privates being the lowest tier, then the sergeants, and then the commander, with progressively better gear. And then comes the Chaos Insurgency. They are basically what MTF are but for Class D. They need to escort Class D to the exit. They also spawn with different roles inside of the squad. For example, some are marauders with big shotguns and revolvers, and others are riflemen with AKs, and some heavy dudes with largesters exist too that can just evaporate SCPs. Yeah. Their spawn is typically when all scientists are dead and when Class D are left. The spectators basically just spectate the game. But there is an SCP item which makes you able to talk with the living, which you can tell them very nice information to. But we will get into items later. Alright, lastly in the factions are the SCPs, which basically you have to kill everyone. There are a few playable SCPs in the game, including SCP-049, which is the Plague Doctor, SCP-049-2, which is the zombie you get turned into by the Plague Doctor, SCP-079, which is a computer that is able to control the facility, and he's incredibly strong if you know how to play him. And if you want to know how to play him, check out the video on the top right if YouTube shows it, or in the description if I remember to put it in, because that video is very useful. Then we have SCP-096, which is the Shy Guy, aka if you look at him, you are basically dead. SCP-106, which is commonly referred to as Larry, can go through doors and put you in a pocket dimension with a chance to survive. SCP-173, aka Peanut or Matthew, more like Peanut, nobody calls him Matthew anymore, stands still when you look at him and slowly TPs towards you, but if you don't look at him, he is super fast. SCP-939, which is a dog that can mimic human sounds and go invisible in a certain radius. SCP-3114, a recently added SCP, is a skeleton that can disguise himself as humans through corpses. I really liked playing this one, he was so funny, but he got removed since the Christmas update is over, so yeah, just forget about him.
Skeleton, that's a skeleton, that's a skeleton.
And last but not least, SCP-1507, which is commonly found as a gang of flamingos that kill humans. Dude, this SCP is such a fever dream, but so funny. Now they also got removed after the Christmas update was over, but whatever. And yeah, that's basically the playable SCP list, and you might have noticed me saying playable, because yes, there are SCP items as well. We have SCP-018, the ball, SCP-207, the cola giving you super speed at the cost of HP, which is a really nice item. This is probably the most useful one. Then we have SCP-207, question mark, is the exact opposite of the cola, giving you HP at the cost of speed. And if you drink both, you just fucking explode. SCP-244 is a vase with freezing gas inside, draining your HP slowly. SCP-268 is a hat making you go invisible. SCP-500 cures all your HP and removes any effect you have from the cola, for example. Or like it just removes every effect and makes you full HP, it cures everything. SCP-1576 is the musical instrument, and this is the one that allows you to talk to spectators, which can be really useful sometimes. You just have to ask how many are alive, what SCPs are there, how many HP do they have, etc. Hey guys!
You are the last four. There is 049 and one of his zombies are at the entrances.
Gate B, I think.
And that's all.
Gate B.
Gate B, Gate B. Alright.
They're at Gate B. Just go down.
How much HP does he have?
You can like mad them. They'll both be dead.
Alright.
He's 60%.
Enough for a mad dump. They're
Alright.
gonna come up, it looks like.
Alright, thanks. Win, baby! SCP-1853 boosts your weapon skills temporarily. And last but not least, SCP-2176 is a light bulb that can black out a hallway and close all doors. Other than that, there's SCP-330, which is a candy with special effects, but don't take more than 2. And lastly, SCP-914, which is a room where you can turn items into different items. Now those were all SCPs. Speaking of rooms, let's talk about the map, shall we? There are 4 main areas in SCP Secret Laboratory. The light containment zone is where most of the early game takes place. The scientists and Class D spawn here and have to get their keycards upgraded to go through a checkpoint and enter heavy containment zone through an elevator. The heavy containment zone is the most dangerous area on the site, since all SCPs spawn here. In heavy containment zone, there are 2 rooms you can enter by an elevator. One is a small area where most SCPs spawn. 2 is the silo room, where you can turn on the nuclear warhead. To actually detonate the nuclear warhead, you have to be on the surface zone though, but we will get to that in just a minute. After heavy containment zone comes entrance zone, where the facility guards spawn, and after that comes the surface zone, where MTF and Chaos Insurgency spawn, and also where scientists and Class D can escape. Surface zone really only has one interesting room, which is the nuclear warhead room. It is a really small room where you can detonate the nuke if it has been activated in the silo room in the heavy containment zone. If you activate it, a countdown of 90 seconds will start before the facility gets blown up. If it is blown up, only the surface will be accessible and everybody in the facility will die. This includes SCP-079. The nuke can be deactivated in the silo room unless only 10 seconds are left and the detonation is inevitable. Light containment, heavy containment, and entrance zone are completely randomly generated labyrinths, so you can't really memorize where to go. You can memorize the rooms though, and where to find what. A popular place in light containment zone is SCP-914, aka just 914, where you can turn items into different items, but also the candy room TC00 is very popular, where you are allowed to take 2 candies. Cool! Now you roughly know the map, but Ski Couple, you only explained to me what the game is about. Can you please get finally to the title? Okay, fine. What makes SCP-SL so special is the question. Well, firstly, I think there is nothing like it. The most comparable game to SCP-SL from the top of my mind is Dead by Daylight, because both games have monsters you have to escape from, but other than that, they are completely different. For example, Dead by Daylight only has 5 players in a match, where SCP-SL has upwards of like 30, or even more if you want. But there is just nothing like SCP-SL really. Even after 7 years of its release, it's a really unique free multiplayer game that is free of any microtransactions. That is a real rarity nowadays, but also the unique gameplay loop with these roleplay elements just make the game very special. It really feels like a Gmod game mode that someone polished up and made its standalone game, and that is kind of what it is. Another thing is that unless you're Mr. Chad, the game is very unpredictable. You don't know what SCPs you're gonna face. Imagine looking to your left into an hallway just to see that 096 and 173 are right in front of you. It's this seemingly scary game with its goofy people and voice chat that just makes a really unique game that can't be replicated. Speaking of voice chat, this is one of the games where almost everyone I met has a microphone, which is really nice, because voice chat is the main way of communication in this game. It's almost impossible to play without it because there isn't a text chat. And what would a role-playing game be without a way of communication, right? Now, SCP-SL is a pretty complex game. It took me about 15 hours or so to get the feel for it, and it might be longer or shorter for others. It's really not a linear game with a lot of things that can happen that you can't predict. A dog waiting to jump at you in front of a door? Unpredictable. Will we make it out of 914? Unpredictable. Just kidding, no, you won't. There is a lot of things to take into consideration. What SCP spawns? What SCP items am I going to take? Should I drink the cola now or later? And if I do, can I find enough medkits to survive? If I throw 3 grenades in the elevator, could I trick the SCPs into walking into my trap? Do I have a flashlight on my weapon to take PC's blackout shenanigans into consideration? Do I have a grenade to pick up the micro HID? As you can see, it's not an easy game to learn. So to the new people, hang around until you get a feel for the game. Just Take your time to understand everything, because once it clicks, it clicks. Now, when discussing any online multiplayer game, we have to consider culture. SCP-SL's culture is just amazing. If you haven't noticed already, we like giving monsters weird names, like Larry or Peanuts or Shy Guy, or we like blasting copyrighted music through soundboards, or some like to close doors on teammates. Did I mention the facility guards? They are notorious for getting killed after about a minute of the round start, because you spawn near every SCP and Larry can just straight up teleport himself right to you. When you have some lucky rounds as guards, it can be really fun though. They can do a lot of things that can influence the round's fate, either winning or losing. And it all just depends on your luck and skill as facility guards. You may escort scientists and Class D without having too much trouble with the SCPs, but you may also have a lot of trouble with the SCPs. As a guard, the best outcome is to find the sergeant card first to get SCP items, then pick up colas to basically be Speedy Gonzalez, and then get the micro by blowing the door up with nades. It's a simple algorithm to kill SCPs, or at least make them shit their pants. Okay, Ski Couple, but why are you talking about this? There are plenty other free games out there. They have more action than this. Alright, I get it. SCP-SL isn't the most action and dopamine packed game, but what it does better than most free games out there, and even better than paid games, is being an asymmetrical multiplayer game that is unpredictable and strategic. Not many games pull this off, and even the ones that do can't execute it in SCP-SL's level. Also, when is the last time you have seen a free, multiplayer, AAA quality game without any microtransactions? I never did, but SCP-SL at the moment is completely 100% free without any of those modern gaming plagues. I know I'm repeating myself, but it's just a game made by an SCP fan, and it really feels like a Gary's Mod game, but polished up and much more fun, because that is essentially what it is. Alright, this might seem kind of out of place, but let's talk about the MTF versus Chaos Insurgency gang fights for no reason, shall we? Alright, so when you have the rare scenario of only MTF and Chaos Insurgency existing, you have something called a gang fight.
Chaos.
We gotta go.
Get out of here. We got a chaos.
We
got a
kill
chaos.
Okay, let's come up then.
Let's chaos up, bro. Come here, come here, come here, come here, come here, come here, come here. Everybody come, everybody come. Everybody, quick.
Go.
No.
Shit, he's dead. Go. What are you doing?
GG.
This is where MTF and Chaos fight to prove what faction is better. I honestly prefer Chaos because their gear and generally they are cooler, but I gotta admit the MTF are pretty cool as well, especially their theme, bro. Oh my god. Now I'm about Task Force Squad. Speaking of music, the nuclear warhead music is absolutely wonderful. Just hits you strong anytime you hear it. Alright, lastly, I want to talk about Northwood's dedication for making SCP-SL greater than it already is. The game was very rough at launch, and also very different from anything that the gaming world has seen before it. It really seemed like a containment breach, but today's SCP-SL is a completely different game. Be it new SCPs, new graphics, new animations, new sounds, new rooms, or even entire map reworks, they did everything and are still going. It's truly remarkable. Soon, the much needed Surface Zone rework is making its way to the game, since right now, it's way too open and way too uninteresting. One problem I have with these video essays is that they are super long and waste time, so I'll end it here since I think I did the game justice. SCP-SL is one of the last remaining multiplayer video games that managed to create a new concept and make it free of any evil business practices we see today, while continuing to add content 7 years after release. Hubert created something special. Not only that, he preserved it and created something new. Something that brings all of us together that just don't want to play your average Call of Duty every day. And that is why SCP Secret Laboratory is so
Oh, what the?
special.